all loaded up here, and we're ready to go. Gord's got us going down some back roads today again, hopefully. So we're looking forward to that. So we're going to get started here. As we leave Miramichi, our goal is to make a western loop through some backcountry roads. The weather is cold and still rain showers are in the forecast. After crossing the Miramichi River, we make our western turn and head in the direction of the town of Red Bank. It wasn't long before the rain is falling again. All of the Maritimes were experiencing a wetter and colder weather pattern that locals stated hadn't occurred since the 1970s. This cold and wet weather isn't much fun on a motorcycle, and it can cause dangerous riding conditions. These driveways explain everything. There was so much rain that the dirt driveways were oozing out onto the pavement. When Gord got to the dirt road, he stopped. It was so bad, it didn't look safe to continue. After a brief conference, we decided the dirt roads weren't worth the risk of injury, so we turned around. Even though we gave up on the muddy dirt roads, we still saw some beautiful countryside. We ride south on Barnaby Road that takes us across the Barnaby River. This is a beautiful area, and we end up winding around and going underneath this railroad bridge. It brings us back out to the highway. When we stop for a break to escape the freezing weather and rain a little bit, Gord discovers that his bike is losing antifreeze. And so he quickly punches in a KTM dealer in Moncton, and we make a beeline to make it to the shop there so that he can get his bike looked at. We just ran into this great adventure. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and where you're going to be going.
Oh, thank you. Hello, my name is Rainer. I'm from Germany. And I started here a few days ago in Halifax. My big dream, motorcycle tour around the world.
Wonderful. Do you have a YouTube channel or anything like that?
Not at the moment, but I will start it the next few days.
Wonderful, very good. So you started in Halifax. What's your next destination? We're in Moncton. Where are you headed next?
I only have the big next destination is Alaska.
Alaska?
Yeah.
And then you're going to head south, you say?
Yeah, on the west coast down until Argentina, Ushuaia, and from there I will go to New Zealand and Australia and the future will show how I can go back, what Mr. Putin is planning. And if the war in the Ukraine is ending, then I will ship from Australia to Novosibirsk in Russia, and then I go home to Russia, Mongolia and Kazakhstan.
Wow, what an awesome trip you got planned. We wish you all the best. We really do. It's a pleasure to meet you. Well, I got to tell you, this morning it was just absolutely miserable out. It was raining like crazy. It was cold. It's only about 48 degrees. And the back roads that we were going to go down all had just super muddy, super slick, and it just wasn't practical to try and go down them under those kind of conditions. So we were going to take a short break, and when we went to take a break, Gorge 890 had a little bit of a coolant leak. So we're going to get that checked out today and see if we can't get that fixed and be on our way. But we're now in Moncton, so we're where we're going to be at for tonight, so everything's good. Gord was able to get his bike fixed. It turned out it was really simple. The cap on the coolant reservoir had vibrated loose and just need to be seated again in order to seal that up. So it was a nice, easy fix, and we really thank the dealer for them getting him in right away to try and diagnose that. We just have a short ride to get to our hotel. We made it to Moncton and we're at the hotel. Gord's bike was fixed. It was a real simple fix, thank goodness. So no problem there. However, my Cardo unit, the microphone quit working, so I think I'm going to have to get a new microphone, but that's not going to happen on this particular trip. So we're going to have to look for something like that when we get back home.
Hello everybody, welcome to day 6. A little bit more of the same weather. We started out with good intentions from Miramichi this morning. We struck out to the west, started to try to turn south, tried to explore some of the back roads, but discovered that the roads were, I believe the word is gumbo. We decided not to press, and with the cold weather and the persistent rain, we decided let's get back onto tarmac. We did so, drove down the road a little bit. We had the intention of stopping for lunch, and lo and behold, I discovered I had a radiator leak of some form at some point in the system on my bike. So we decided at that point to sort of beetle on down the road to fortunately finding a KTM dealer in Moncton, New Brunswick. We did a little deviation to the west to find them. They were a super service. Really very conscientious people and very understanding of my situation. They were able to fix me real quick. So that was a real plus for the day. Not to mention the fact that we eventually drove out of the weather, and we're actually enjoying something we haven't endured for the last 3 or 4 days, which is something warm. We really like the idea that it's getting warmer. So we bedded down for the night at Magnetic Hill, just to the east of the downtown core of Moncton, and we look forward to striking out for tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it so far. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Well, that's it for today, and we're going to do our prep work for tomorrow. Gord's going to look at the map and see if he can't find something extra that we can do on our way to Halifax. But downtown Halifax is a lot of fun, so if we get a chance to go down there, I'm sure we will. Well, we'll see you tomorrow. Take care. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Hey, today we're going to be taking off from Moncton here, but we're going to do something special first. We're going to try to get the Hopewell Rocks in this time. It looks like the low tide is going to be hitting just at the right time for us that we can get a look at those. If you remember from last year's videos, it was high tide and we missed them. So we're going to take that in first, and then we'll head on to Halifax. Let's get started here. Our trip to the Hopewell Rocks Provincial Park takes us along the Pettit-Kodiak River. The park itself is located on the Bay of Fundy, which is renowned for its dramatic tide change. At certain times of the year, the low tide and high tide difference is around 46 feet. There are a few small towns along the way, and there's no doubt that tourism is a big component of the local economy, with the Hopewell Rocks being the main attraction. I know the cloudy skies make this area look a little gloomy, but I can assure you it's a lovely area to ride through. After a short ride through the woods, you arrive at a fairly substantial parking lot. At the top of the cliffs is a gift shop, interpretation center, and restaurant. There is a small fee, but it's well worth it to support the park. After getting your ticket, you can walk a path down to the rocks, or for another fee, you can take the tram. In my opinion, the walking trail is easy to moderate. At the end of the trail, there is an overlook and stairs that will take you down to the beach. The Hopewell Rocks have been formed through thousands of years of erosion from the huge tidal fluctuations. The rocks are also known as sea stacks. The sea stacks have been given comical names which personalizes their unique features. Sherry met and filmed with one of the rangers there, which gives some information concerning the rocks.
We've been looking at the archway here. At the highest of tides, that archway will be full of water.
Oh.
And the clearance of that archway is 18 feet. So when the water reaches your feet under the archway, it's already up at the 28-foot level.
Oh my, okay.
So we reach the 46-foot tide maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
Over the course of our trip, Sherry was taking pictures in the women's restroom of these funny signs that they had posted.
Yeah. Might want to add an explanation.
Over the years, our kids, we've done these flattened coins for decades. And every time we see a new one, even though they're adults now, we send them one. I think it's safe to say we all had a great time at the park, but it was time to hit the road and head towards Dartmouth. I didn't film much after leaving the park because we were riding the same road back to Moncton. We meander through downtown Moncton to catch the highway south. After passing by the town of Oxford, we head out into the countryside on Highway 4. This gets us off the interstate and into the hills. Gord's GPS, a Zumo XT, has a nice feature that allows different levels of routes. You can select the faster direct route or a slower country route. The GPS has 4 different levels. I was a little surprised to see the ski resort here along the way. Their hills weren't very high, but I'm sure it's a lot of fun in the wintertime. Well, that was a nice ride, but it's time for us to make the final push to Dartmouth. We jump back on the interstate as we head further south. This is a great example of why you need to keep your head on a swivel here. I'm getting wedged by two cars on the interstate, but I was able to get over. I got to give Gord credit here. Boy, the closer we got to Halifax and Dartmouth, the roads just turned into like a pretzel. But he successfully navigated us, and we got to the hotel without incident. After getting to the hotel, we drop our gear, but we're going to get back on the bikes because we're going to head into town and get some supper. Downtown Dartmouth was a little bit of a maze for us because we weren't familiar with the area. We were able to finally find a parking spot that was public parking, but it caused us a little bit of grief because it was one of those you had to pay for a ticket and then display it on your vehicle. This was a little bit of a problem for us because we didn't know how to run the machines, but a local helped us out, and we were able to finally get that set up. But we were probably the only ones that actually bought tickets and did it legally.
All right, Roy and Gord. Oh, you should have had a drink, huh? I do the eyebrows.
I'd like to give a shout out to our waitress. Boy, she was working hard. She was running the bar and handling all the tables all by herself. Though we got a little thirsty at first, she made up for it once we got going. Thanks a lot. Here's Gord with the map presentation.
Well, hello everyone again. Welcome to day 7. Day 7, leaving Moncton, ending up in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, right beside Halifax. So, just to orient you on the map here, you can see Moncton at the lower of the southeast corner of New Brunswick. You can see it sits on top of the Bay of Fundy here, and across the Bay of Fundy you can see, I'll just pan out here a little bit, Nova Scotia, or at least the better part of it. You can see we ended up here down near Halifax at the end of the day. But we had an interesting little side trip this morning. When we left Moncton, we drove down into the top of the Bay of Fundy to a place called the Hopewell Rocks Provincial Park. It's an interesting series of rock formations that you have to visit at low tide because, as you may be aware, the Bay of Fundy has one of the highest tidal bores, or raising and lowering of the tides, in the world, and you have to go there at low tide to be able to see the rocks, otherwise they're totally submerged. So we did that quick little 45-minute excursion. We did about a half an hour hike down into the trail, had a look at the rocks, and turned around, came back up. We had to backtrack back up towards Moncton because there was no other bridge crossings across this this river that you see coming up into Moncton. So we did a bit of a 180, backtracked a little bit, and then continued on down through crossed into Nova Scotia, did a little side trip around the area of Spring Hill, Nova Scotia, which for any history buffs out there, this is the unfortunate site of a heavy coal mining area that was unfortunately caught up with a bunch of disasters. There were 3 of them in total, one in 1891, one in 1956, and one in 1958. The first one, 125 people were killed with a methane explosion inside the mine. The one in 1956, there were 35 people killed in an explosion. And the last one in 1958 was unfortunately the result of what's called a bump, or a seismic shift in the ground. And unfortunately, 75 miners lost their lives as a matter of being crushed and basically trapped in a collapse in that mine. So, a little bit of history in the area here. Otherwise, we proceeded downwards, actually got a little bit of a weather improvement. We actually saw the sun, which was somewhat unusual after a few days of not seeing the sun. A very scenic drive, very pleasant, all the way through into Dartmouth. We encountered a little bit of weather down here, so we decided to keep the day as short as possible and head for shelter. So that's day 7 in a nutshell. Hope you enjoyed the view so far. We're going to keep on pressing tomorrow off along a coast crawl on the bottom of Nova Scotia, hoping to make our way into Cape Breton, the Cape Breton area, and hopefully the Cabot Trail. So we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.
Hey everyone, boy, we sure had a fun-filled day today. We started out with the Hopewell Rocks, which was really cool. We finally got that in at low tide so you could actually see them. That was fun. And then as we rode into Nova Scotia, we did some back highway roads that was really beautiful as we moved through the mountains. Well, this evening we're here in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, which is real close to Halifax. And tomorrow we're going to work our way along the coast as we head up towards Cape Breton. So we'll see you tomorrow.
Here's my end of day. I bought myself a little moose at the gift shop. I love it.